Hi, good day to you guys. My name is Nisaj. Okay, I am actually pursuing MBA in UTM under LNET, conducted by Dr. L. So part of the assignment is to interview a transformational leader, and without second thought, the first person that I actually thought was Johan, and I'm very much thankful that he actually agreed to give an interview in regards to transformational leadership and also what he is actually doing. Okay, without further ado, on Encik Johan himself is actually a proud Johorian and has a very big inspiration to bring JB to new heights in international level. By profession, he's an architect and a very successful businessman, and he's also, if I'm not wrong, he's also a consultant, especially in green energy field. A devoted family man, and the man behind, as far as I know, in my research, Kilang Bateri, Skala, Reka, where we are sitting right now, IKLAS, and lately Ecoride. I hope I've covered as much as possible for Encik Johan. So without further delaying, we will go for the first question. Tell us something that you would have not told anyone. Not many people know or aware about yourself.
Okay, thanks Nisaj for picking me as one of the subject for you to interview. I think it's a great honor to assist your subject and to be interviewed and to share my thought in this platform. And I think that I hope that whatever input that I shared with you guys will be beneficial and inspire some talents on how to chase their dream and to build their dreams. The most important part.
Thank you.
One thing that people don't know about me, I think I actually what I would say. I mean, when we talk about professional, I mean, people always understand that I'm an architect. I also an entrepreneur. The other side, people don't really know about me till I become the candidate in the previous election. I'm actively involved in politics. That's why, as far as career is concerned. And another thing that people never aware and never know that about me is actually, initially I wanted to be a lawyer.
That's new to me.
Yeah, so I have this strong feeling that I wanted to be a lawyer at the age of 17 after SPM. Then suddenly my late dad then said that why don't you try something else? And since I've been saying that I want to be an architect since age of 6, and I said why don't you pursue that idea? Maybe I believe why he's not keen for me to get into legal practices is actually, maybe he already saw that the inclination for me into politics.
Right.
So he's not that keen for me to get involved in politics, maybe. So then he said that, but at the end of the day, eventually I involved in politics. Anyway, but I mean that those are the things. Having a passion, having the understanding, or I would say that the eagerness to understand on the legal side also made me what I am today. So everything I do in my business or my life, so I'll go to the fundamental side of it, which is I would say the source of power, all the guidelines and things like that. So maybe because of the instinct, I would say that the inclination to understand about the law helped me also to see whatever and to mold it and to make it as a formula in running my business and exploring new ideas. Because when you want to extend, or if you want to go to the boundaries, or you want to do something in the age, you must understand the limitation. So how do you want to beat the limitation without beating it?
Right.
So, and these fundamentals has been has been always be in the way I think since school days. So I'm not a nerd. I'm a naughty boy. So I live to the other side of me is actually I have friends. Yeah, I have friends from different background. In fact, during my school days and I just like to explore. That's made me to understand the society more, and I try to understand the issues. I look into what are the issues, what are the limitations, what are the law that they are facing with, and try to tweak it and make it like a more rational and try to solve it in terms of engagement.
Right.
And from there we can come up with new ideas which actually abiding the law and also transformational in a way. All these ideas, exploration of new things, I think I with the society, with the community started, I think as early as 13 years old.
Wow.
Where I started to have this football club with my childhood friends. That time we call it Malaysia United at that point of time, where I tried to tag along with those time they have Rakan Muda,
right?
But Rakan Muda Sukan was not in Bandar Baru at that time. So masjid was the new masjid was newly built, and they are trying to form this Rakan Muda Masjid.
Okay.
So from there I try to understand what is the vision of Rakan Muda Masjid. So I try to tweak it, put in football. So and then because of sports you can bring the youngsters to masjid.
Yes.
So understanding that in the early age really helps me in terms of connecting people together. Wow. and of course being a prefect in school, negotiate and to understand people issue. Those time people wants to go to school with belly bottom and things like that, fashion. So being I would say the negotiator and try to understand, yes, law is a law, and also to explain why the law or the guidelines being made to them, to give the rationalization and make them to understand and be part of whatever we want to do. And eventually the guideline also can be rationalized on the daily.
So basically when you're in the school, you were pengawas, not pengganas.
No, I'm pengawas, but I'm defended with different
all types of
all types of them. So the other side of me that I pernah juga berlomba haram, but not motor kereta, but one short while just to understand what is this culture all about.
Yes.
Right. So young days you want to understand, but eventually then we understand, why they did this and things like that, and the thesis that I made for me to be qualified as a graduate architect was a racing track. Due to that, and it is okay from my friend's perspective that at the end of the day I also get involved with the automotive industry in a way.
Right.
So that's a bit things about myself lah. Yeah.
Thank you. I think from what you have told a bit more in depth about your self and your younger self, I think it leads to the next question. I think a bit more understanding. So what inspires you to boldly actually start the Kilang Bateri? Of course, where we are sitting now, Skala, Reka, Ecoride. And speaking about the football just now, I understand now where UDA FC actually also came. So the transforming of a football club to a more semi-professional, I understand. So these are aspirations. What was the aspiration to do this transformation?
I started my career in Kuala Lumpur as an architect way back in 2004. That point of time, being a young man, and I lost my parents at the age of 19. So when I was in universities, then all up to me how I want to decide for my life. Okay. So at that point of time, of course, we feel that Kuala Lumpur is center of gravity, and the friends is there and this and that. So I started my career in Kuala Lumpur. After a year, then I feel that I don't think the city is full of opportunities, but it's not forgiving in terms of treating talents to go up and to showcase what are the capabilities that we can do. So, and of course, obviously, that I always believe that we need financially, we need to be strong in order for us to explore something, and for us to have a free mind. Then you can do traveling, you can do your R&D in terms of venturing into new hobbies, get into social network, better social network, and these all need. I mean, they are costly in a way. You see, so when I see that the same platform we can use it in Singapore, I pursue my career in Singapore, looking into, in a way, directly to say it's better pay, to give justice to whatever I can do, the talent that I think, the talent that I would like to showcase to my industry. And I didn't do it well for the first job, to be honest, because it's a transition of this of the culture, working culture.
Yes.
But I did well my second job, which I work with, my principal was he's an Australian in Singapore, so I learned a lot. That's where I start to learn. I was given the opportunity to get involved with the Palm Island in Dubai.
Wow. So
I was like back and forth, and so I started to get the international exposure when I practicing in Singapore, and I do involve in a few projects in places like Bali, Bangkok, things like that. So when I do all these niche and high-end projects, and I start to see that the I would say the T20s lah, or this orang kaya and things like that, they have this thinking that is very detailed and particular about their lives. You can see them simple, but they have been, when I engage them and try to get the ideas, it seems like everything that they think is so simple to them. Right. It is because it has become a culture. I mean, the way they think, they know what is important and what's not important. There are certain things that we try to see, it is not important, but it is very important to them. But it is quite easy for them to think because they already think that way every day. Right. As simple as when we design 7-star resort, right. I have even the architectural detailing, I have to address the stiletto size. Because all these orang kaya sometimes they go, I don't understand why they go to resort to wear high heels. So all these stilettos, I have to address the gap to ensure that the stilettos cannot go in and patah and that. Yeah, so
that's how detailed.
Yeah, that's to that detail. So I'm interested with the way the industry think about one, and when the industry have that kind of thinking, means they're addressing towards certain market segment, right. And I start to understand the market segment. Why do they think like that? Right. So through that processes, then I believe that, and one thing that struck me is actually I've been working very hard. Usually on Friday, my they call it Angmo friends lah, all the Mak Saleh and things like that, right? So they will leave the office sharp like 6 p.m. because they want to go for drinks.
Yes.
While me, I still stay in the office and do things because I don't want to come back in the office on Sunday because we are addressing clients from Middle East.
Yes.
So they're working on Sunday.
Yes.
So I want to enjoy my Sunday. So I would rather to work till late because over the weekend I will go back to JB.
Yes.
Right. So then I'll work. I mean that's where I learned that being conservative in a way in modern world perspective doesn't mean that you are behind. It's all about attitude, you see.
Yeah.
I can sit with I mean my friends who drinks beer and things like that. I can sit with them. I mean anyway they are non-Muslim. I'm okay with that. And at the end of the day they start to respect me. So that's where I learned. Oh, okay. In terms of develop your thinking is all about your attitude and how you bring yourself, right? So over the weekend I come back to JB.
Yep.
And I feel that if and I start to share my stories. I'm so excited with whatever that I learn from my clients and so on and my friends because they are childhood friends.
Yeah.
And most of the talents actually so-called pandai-pandai left JB.
Yeah, betul.
Right? So when you are back in Bandar Baruda, they say, "Hey Joe, you are not here." Then they start to ask about. I mean, every week you balik, then you don't know what to tell, and you're not so much in the context of day-to-day things in JB. So the only way to connect and to tell is actually I ask what you do and you ask me what I do. So when you ask me what I do, me being me, I'm always telling the values of what I learned from the industry and whatever opportunity that I had in Singapore, Dubai, and some of the cities in the world. So I start to tell them and it inspires them and things like this. Then they always look. I mean, they always come to me and asking for ideas.
Okay.
So it started with that. Friends come, jadi sumber rujukan.
Yes.
Joe, I have this case, I want to do this. So it started as a friend who give ideas. And sometimes I have free time, then I start to construct the basic paper for them. And that point of time, I haven't worked with the government, so I haven't understand that much. But law is law, because working in Singapore, they taught you, because you know sometimes people feel that the law too stringent will limit creativity, but it goes the other way around for places like Singapore and Dubai. When they put they call it urban design guideline, they put limitation. How does a creativity can be applied in a very stringent laws?
Correct.
So you still can have a fun thing, a very creative thing, but at the same time, it is safe for people.
Yeah.
So you know, for some reason, practicing in Singapore, doing something in Dubai and things like that, train my brain to. So apa undang-undang dia kata apa tak boleh apa. So you know, not to beat the law, but to translate it something that okay, to understand what is your concern as a government.
Right.
So you concern apa? Api. You concern apa? Orang mati. You concern apa? Sampah.
Betul.
So from there we address it. When we tell that we can address it and everything. So through creativity.
Right.
But bagi orang yang malas, I mean when I was tadi what struck me was when I work in Singapore and said that I naik flight ke while taxiing, you know, Changi taxiing before take off pun dah lama because they have to queue for the plane to take off kan. So they at the age of 25, 26 the boss already put me on business class. Anyway, the client pay for it. So I always watch movie lah, things like that without it. So my boss marah and he said that I'm lazy. Tadi nak back to cerita yang orang pergi bar but I work till late.
Betul.
And the boss will still say that I'm lazy. So I was like so pissed off. Then Then when I reached, then when I had a session, I just want to understand, Ali, why you tell me that? No, Johan, you actually, you work hard, but when I tell you lazy, is actually the hunger for you to hunt for new knowledge, number one, and number two, the way you think. I mean, you always conclude before to go to the process. But once you get into the process, you get diluted into the process and take longer time. So then you lost your efficiency.
Wow.
So you have to find balance. So as simple as while taxiing, I don't see you reading. So why can't you read? I mean, to be honest, we are architects. We don't read that much, is it? I mean, we need to read, but we don't read that much. So, I mean, just to be frank, I said that. But a glimpse of anyway, it's technique lah. I mean, the way you read it, then you look that's why magazine helps us a lot, because there's a lot of pictures, right? So you read few, then you look into the pictures, you understand, okay, what is it? Then you look back into the gist of the story. So if it's good for you, then you read the entire thing. So you know how to filter what is good for you, what is not good for you. I mean, that's how.
So it also cultivates your creativity.
Yeah. And he taught me that how to hunt for new knowledge every day and to do things. So then when I started to do that, I start to have more knowledge. I'm brave enough to, when work with all these Europeans and things like that, they always overcome this Monday blues with whatever talk, whatever conversation that beyond your work. So you must always come back with exciting stories over the weekend. You are not allowed to talk about work. I mean, in the first half of Monday lah, kan?
Wow. Okay.
So the culture is there. So then we always must bring back. Kalau you pergi jalan, you cerita je lah. When you meet friends and that. So all this culture built me the way I think, and when the interesting stories when I bring back to the office on Monday morning to share with them and say, hey, I met this guy, my friend. He used to be my childhood friend. He did this, and also they all like, hey, Johan, that's good. So they chip more ideas. They say, hey, you should look in India, you should look in this, and you can help your friend do this. So it started with that. So I have more knowledge. So I transfer back. And then I do some research, and I transfer it back to my friends. And the most important part is actually merendahkan bahasa to make sure that they can understand what you're trying to say. Layman term, right? So those are the processes, and I feel that through that simple touch and things like that, it transforms people's life. It transformed. Even at the age, my friend came to me. I did realize that I gave him an awareness why you need to buy an insurance policy at the age of 24. Because he came to me, he is not an insurance agent, I'm not an insurance agent, but he was so, over the conversation that, oh yeah, I just bought a policy. Since they asked me why you bought it, because in Singapore I don't have enough money, anything happen, if I go to the hospital and things like that, I have insurance to cover me. So then he asked me about insurance, and he took insurance, and it was unlucky for him, last 3 years he got some blood clots in his brain, and then the policy that he took when I gave him awareness saved him today.
Wow.
And gave him, and he and his wife came to me. Me and my wife went to the hospital just to see him. Then after they get well, they come and visit me just to say thanks.
Yes.
Johan, without you telling me insurance, I cannot work anymore. So I was like, wow. Can you see a simple thing that can help others? That can change someone's life.
Yeah.
And you never know. It won't be today, but it will be sooner or later.
Many years down the road, you never know.
So these are the things happening to me, and at that point of time, before understanding whatever happened today, is I start to see some development, and people start to say, "Hey Joe, I want to do bola, things like that." So I work with Majlis Bandaraya. From Singapore, I work with Majlis Bandaraya. I never understand what was the issue, why people so angry. So being in there, oh okay, this is how they think. So I try to solve things. Then I work with IRDA. IRDA is another agency, so-called full of talents, new ideas, coming big, Johorian but never work in Johor, not so sensitive at that point of time, coming with big ideas, but how does it match with the local sentiment? Was the and to make the change agent, to be the driver of the change and the transformation. So I was in there, and I started to see all this, and when you are in agency like that, people start, hey Johan, you are in IRDA, you know, can you tell us something that we can understand instead of that guy,
right,
that we merely know him and we don't understand what he's saying about. So when you want to do change or transformation, something that is very important is, for the people, you must make your stakeholders to be able to comprehend what you want to bring.
Correct.
And to make them, they know that sooner or later, or maybe today, they can be part of that.
Yes.
If they don't be part of that, and they can't imagine that they will be part of that so-called modernization or progress that you bring in, then they will do other things. I mean, it started with rejection, and then it will do things. You want to put skyscrapers, a series of skyscrapers, then first what they learn, they're so excited with the pictures. Once they see Johor Bahru got skyscrapers, they ambil gambar, blah 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 blah. But they never can imagine that they are working inside that building.
Yeah.
So how do they associate themselves with the progress? Right? So those things made me want to share with my friends in Bandar Baru, saying that, hey, who said that you cannot be part of this? Who said that you being left out? But they said, how? And so then I start to say, no, there are things that bersihkan bangunan tinggi, contract, you boleh panjat tali. So those things, and they ask me, I mean, again, you must be in position to give ideas to your friends how you can partake into this, whatever. So that's drives me lah to do this. Then coming back to that's how would I see. Then I show them some cases in Kuala Lumpur. Literally bring them, pergi makan naik kereta. You see this part when it start to have a good community center, how it changed, give values to the neighborhood. So they start to understand and tell them what can you do, what you can be.
Right.
So they know how to, okay, this is my function. So this is my function in the club, and this is my function in the society, and later on career wise, this is my function.
Right.
So I start to let them share this and that, and then coming up to Kilang Bateri, it started with of course looking for venues for youngsters. Again, series of dialogues, duduk berbual this and that. Okay, at the end of the day, let's do this. So started the aspiration was to do a event space, but apparently at that point of time there's only 12 impactful events in Johor, and out of 12, I think it was a cheesy event, pesta bayi lah, pesta tilam, you know. I mean how hip JB can be, and I cannot survive with those events. So that's where we start to explore that 70% of the component should be retail based, and we set a policy and come to retail, whom and what kind of player that we would like to attract, and that's where we decide the Indonomics agenda. Then we try to bring in all the local talents. Then before Kilang Bateri, it's Skala Reka, SR Architects. Actually, So it started with the UDA FC and Kilang Bateri is actually quite parallel, but those are the story. Skala Reka was very much in terms of I really want to do design, I really want to do design work, and I want to do research work. Understand that, you know, from before this was at the client's shoe, looking into this and say, I think I can do this. And sometimes I feel that if I'm as a client, I have more complex and in-depth thinking compared to consultant. I mean, why should I pay them?
Yeah, betul lah.
Then I do feed doang. So isn't that a gap, an opportunity? So when it comes to research, you know, so I try. Then I feel that way I can do this. Then I might have freedom, the way I think, and I might find more new things because I will be assigned by many people. Right. So how to do that for a start? So again, then Skala Reka start to have, you know, conversation with people and ideas, and they wanted to again ideas, and how I know to stitch things together, and it started with that, people paying me for how to stitch things together.
Awesome.
So then again, because of Kilang Bateri, Skala, Kilang Bateri, then Ecoride. So Ecoride, when we talk about the future, it started with the master plan. Started about talking about things and how to position it. Then we talk about new businesses, and again books like giving you some ideas. Then I said, why don't we do this? Then plus the political sentiment that I would like to see, the city issues that I would like to, I put it all together. Why bandar tak cukup duit nak tar jalan and things like that. So I start to look into this. Then I feel that, then I understand that while we all sleeping in Malaysia, the developing countries is actually racing for the energy. And then I started this, and I said that, hey, let's do this, and the journey starts. So that's how.
Wow, so that was an in-depth explanation. In fact, most of the inspiration are actually through your life engagement and processes that you have went through. Which leads me to the next question. Quite straightforward. How do you see yourself? What type of leadership style do you think you possess? Autocratic, democratic, or anything else that you prefer to share?
I would say that a mix of both. It depends. If it's totally new, I'll be very autocratic. I have to be autocratic. I got no choice. People might hate you. I'll scream. If sometimes make you complex because only you know there's a new ideas you want to explore this, and the team members don't understand you yet. So that's where you need to be autocratic. So once they for a start, if it's new ideas, if it's literally new on the table, I'll be very autocratic for a start.
To bring focus.
I said, no, you don't, because people has tendency to, you know, everyone wants to speak. Everyone's, but I mean, maybe Allah bless me that I have certain ability to access that. Hey, you talking right thing or bullshit?
Yes, correct.
Right? So maybe experience lah. Experience and things like that. So everyone wants to speak, and I say that sometimes people speak that literally want to put the ideas and the effort to the edge. Right. But there's also people wants to speak to contribute the ideas just to impress you. So, and the other one is to speak, dia orang cakap banyak benda, but don't want to feel like you seem like they have full of ideas, you seem like they are in control, just to show the complexity to you, but actually they want to run away to do from new things and complex things. Right? So you must understand. So that's where I become very autocratic. because you must be very clear what you want to do, right? But again, efficiency is very important.
Yes.
When you are, and you must dare enough to take the responsibility when you become an autocratic, right? So do that, come to an idea, they start to see things, and that's where the democracy happens.
Okay.
Alright, so then, but before that happens in any process, when it comes to work process, as far as the working culture is concerned in my practice, anything is actually I do it democratically, and as simple as to know them, which we have session like Skala share every Sunday morning that they have to. We're working from Sunday to Thursday.
Okay.
So Sunday morning they have to share their stories. I mean, inspired from the overcoming the Monday blues.
Yeah.
In Singapore, I did that in terms of knowledge sharing.
Right.
And they just tell something that is beyond architecture, and try to relate it in your experience working with us. So that's where we start to get ideas. So when I have confidence and I see that, oh, this talent actually can speak their mind well, so they have rooms to speak whenever we have new ideas.
Right.
You can literally judge people. So that's why I always tell my team, please the work, not the boss.
Yeah. Correct.
Even though pahit for the boss, you have to speak up.
Yes.
And the worst that will happen to you here is kena maki. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's how it works. I mean, in terms of how I want to get more ideas and to make people contribute, this and that.
So in the context of your day-to-day work commitments, exposures, right? Even now, today you are actually, after this you have another appointment. So that means you on the day that you are working or running your business, you face a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you actually cope your day-to-day challenges?
How do I cope with day-to-day challenges? I make it as a knowledge hunting.
Right.
I put it that way, and of course you get fatigue. You have to work hard. So that's where the culture that you don't want to work in silo, and you need a team.
Yes.
So that's why I have a serious team. So in order for you to work, you know you have a limited time, kan? So you're not gonna keluar jumpa orang and things like that. So at least there's a team that you give them to process.
Right.
But the team cannot just stay there stagnant. But I'm not a big organization that have corporate ladder for them to climb.
Yeah.
But I created some scheme in terms of course, remuneration package and things like that, through trainings and whatever I bring back, I give talk I share with them.
Right.
So even when I make it like a class that's why we call it lab.
Right.
Normally architects call this studio, but I said that it has to be a lab where we test it and come back and look into it. And I don't call them staff, I call them lab members.
Right.
And they are members, they are not staff, so you're part of the thing, right? So having that said, and also client pun nampak, oh, then serious team, then you have to give justification why you need to pay me this much.
Right.
Right. So then you have more ideas. So when you have a team and you share the wealth and things like that, right? So you can step further. Yeah, you can explore new things. If you tamak everything you want, you buat, or you so clever enough to sub everything to other people, at the end of the day you don't have the value.
Betul.
Ya, ada orang boleh jadi kaya sub je.
Ya, betul.
Tapi the value tu dia tak ada.
Ya.
Ada orang yang he feels that he can do everything. Dia buat apa semua, tapi at the end of the day dia penat. Dan akhirnya dia akan jadi macam I always said that okay lah, because kita jangan jadi orang yang drive yang bawa, kalau jadi pemandu, bawa dia, kalau kita sakit macam ni, kita tak boleh. So you need a team, because that's why you need a company.
Great.
Right? So that's made me be able to put myself to tolerate with why I should segment my life. Macam tu lah. Macam pagi I can do something else. Right. Tengah hari I can do other things. Then in the lunchtime I have other meetings from different genre.
Yeah.
Then after lunch it's different thing. So it's all about knowledge. I feel like it's connection. Then after that I've come back to the office, do some work.
Right.
It's all about how you structure your life. You already set it. You know that in the morning you want to do this.
Right.
This. Then at night you wrap up, and you know that okay. But it's not easy, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then if I stop doing things to do list.
Okay.
Before this I did things to do list, and suddenly things to do list itself saja in the morning or before I start, it will end up like 3 pages.
Yeah.
then I don't know how to handle it.
Correct.
So that's why the calendar, the appointment calendar helps me in terms of how I manage it.
Any particular challenges that you can share that you cannot forget until today? Oh yeah, that one was very difficult to manage, but this is how I resolved it. Any contoh? Ada apa-apa contoh yang boleh share?
Satu, the first thing yang I bad experience that I had in my career, I only fail satu interview,
right,
which was my first interview. That was the only interview that I failed so far.
Okay.
So far, so I've been interviewed for practically my first job.
Right.
But it taught me from that point onwards that, because I came in with confidence, I thought that confidence is everything.
Okay.
Right? So if you are too confident, even though you have knowledge and you are too confident, you start to be sounded like you're full of bullshit. So, and it taught me on how to actually compose your ideas, and the way you speak and the way you want to speak, your mind has to be structured.
Right.
Because if not being structurally being delivered, you will be seen sebagai seorang yang gopoh. So bila you gopoh, the leadership quality is not there.
Right.
Means you have a tendency to make a decision based on your feelings, not data. So that's why I learned first. From there, I put myself that I can't feel in any interviews anymore, and I feel embarrassed. I don't feel angry, but I feel embarrassed to myself. I said that why I can't make this guy to see what I got.
Right.
So I look into it. Okay, so from that time onwards, so far till today, that was the only interview that I feel as far as career is concerned. And
that's awesome sharing.
So and it taught me, and whatever that I had, I always carry it. Even being interviewed by the client also, I always put it in the perspective on how I want to deliver the ideas. The other thing, as far as interview is concerned, this time I did not fail, but I rejected. When I came into interview, also job, that they asked me, how far do you think you can go in this company? And it's a very big corporation.
Yeah.
And then I said that, I asked the panel back, can I be the CEO of this company? And I said that, wow, you're so ambitious. And you ask a talent like me, looking in the future, of course, if I put just 1 or 2 steps ahead, you don't believe in me that I'm hungry for success. So I put the highest. And said, wow, you're so ambitious. Yeah, but that's where I'm answering your question. I want to be CEO. Now I'm asking you back, can I be the CEO or not? Based on your policy. They couldn't answer. Then I said, it was a poor question from an HR division like you. When you have to be transparent to talk to me, I know I can't.
Right.
Because I'm an architect and you are oil and gas company.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Makes
you
sense.
know the answer and you have to be transparent. You want me to be transparent, but you do not.
Yeah.
And I got the offer next day, then I
Rejected
the offer.
Right.
So those are some of the interesting stories. What was the question when I answered this? What was the question just now? Why?
So what was the most challenging?
Oh, the most challenging. But other than that, is actually to decide to close or to continue with Kilang Bateri.
Yeah.
And also,
It's very challenging.
yeah, challenging. Before that is actually to decide to be on your own. To be on your own. I mean, you leave your job and to
Yes.
be on your own. That was also challenging. So I mean, to become an entrepreneur from a working man.
Yeah.
The most challenging factor, the most challenging things that we need to address is the family must feel that there's nothing wrong with the decision.
Yeah. Sustainability.
Sustainability. So to bring the confidence in them and to see that there's nothing wrong with the decision. If you have to work, some people say financially.
Yes.
Of course, financially that you must have, because whatever you spend today, you cannot I would say you cannot ask for empathy or sympathy for them, saying that you give me some room because I start today, because you as the leader of the family, you are the one who make decision.
Yes.
Takkan you minta sympathy daripada anak. So you must have balls lah. You buat means you kena tahu how to address it. Be patient, you can negotiate, but not to prolong sympathy and empathy for them. Because when you make your decision, did you consult your family or not? You feel that I'm the head of the family, this is something good for the family. So you do that is something that's very challenging, to bring them, to let them to understand what you are today is also another thing. So those are the challenge. For me, at the end of the day, challenge memang how to ensure that the family is happy, the friend is not worried, your immediate circle happy with your progress. Because that's the support that you need. So those are the challenges. Business and everything, when you talk about dollars and cents, there's challenge to normal because it's business. But how you manage it, how you plan it, how you make your energy around you to be positive, to give you encouragement and to give you booster, without understanding that you actually have some problems, and you turn it into very positive vibes, will help you.
Right.
So the challenging moment was, I think number one, the first interview that I failed. Second part is actually to depart from a working life into an entrepreneur. And the third one is actually to decide something that you call it as your baby, but you have to let it go, which is Kilang Bateri at that point of time. So those are the three answers that I would like to put.
Okay, one last question.
Yeah.
Quite straightforward. To make the team follow the new transition that you want to put in place, how do you make them follow? You give them demo or SOP or anything, any guidelines, or you just lead and then they follow?
I think I've been exploring this in many types of institutions. As you're aware, I've been working abroad.
Yes.
I've been working in private sector, working in government,
Yes.
hitting a government agency, working with the GLC,
Yes.
becoming a politician, and has my own enterprise, and also owning a mall to influence about 184 different minded tauques or leaders, right? Different segment and different natures requires a different set and different side of way of convincing people for transformation. But one thing never change or persistently happen, and the core values is actually walk the talk. So that one you cannot deny. Everywhere, regardless the methodology apa semua, is walk the talk. It's very important. And number two is actually the ability to listen. The ability to listen is, that's why I think, even though at certain point maybe I have the ability to listen, but I don't think I have it much yet, because I have the stubbornness in me. That's what I don't think at certain level I can reach a certain level of leadership. I cannot exceed that because it's contemplate with my stubbornness in terms of bringing new ideas. You can be a good leader but very forgiving leaders. You can climb, you are a good boss, but you are not transformational. Right? You'll be a good boss. You boleh naik, but you are not transformational. You are not inspirational. So, but you can be transformational and inspirational, but you akan jumpa ni lah, tegang lah. You see, because it's contest of ideas. And I only acknowledge if the ideas can be brought forward. If the ideas, you try to contest the ideas in the sense of you punya malas, because you tak nak buat explore benda baru, you berat, then I reject and I fight for it. I mean, I declare war lah for that if you reject progress. So the things that we make here, and most of the institution yang I led and work is, you kena kejam lah. If you cannot be part of the thinking box, you have to decide. If you have to go, means you have to go. Right. That part has to be autocratic in a way. But once people embark into it, is to show them dengan whatever things that we do benefits to them. Of course, you walk the talk. You cakap apa, you sendiri kena buat. That's one fundamental. Second, you must be able to listen. And before, yalah, you leader must listen. Tapi takkanlah pengikut tak boleh listen. It's always two ways. It must be two ways. Dia mesti dua hala. Apa jua cara nak buat, dua hala. When it come two ways, then people start doing it. Bila people start doing it and it has benefits in them directly, so they will do it. As simple as in architecture, people always believe that we have to burn the midnight oil to get new ideas. Then when I look into dollars and cents, it doesn't make sense. I mean, why I have two staff running in office at night, then I have to pay more bills, then you come in tomorrow 11 a.m. So I said that this is something, we are not artists. I mean artists might say that. Then I start to say that, I start to put that aside and say that you have to work till 6 p.m, then you have to go home, you need to get enough sleep, you need to play sports, you need to watch TV. Through that you will get better ideas, and tomorrow you will come in fresh, you will do your job better. So in order to do that, as simple as I don't communicate with them after office hour is something that is respect. That by
work-life balance.
Work-life balance. And that can be transformational by yourself. I mean, of course, you walk the talk when you say it, and you want it, then you want it, right? So you tell them, then they want the change, they feel the change, then they will start to follow what you do. So the step one is to make sure that we are on the same page or in the same wavelength the way we think. So that's step one. If everyone put on the same page, have the same wavelength, not all, but at least the fundamental of the way you think is there, then you can go to the second part where you start to have the SOP, so-called, but SOP are for dummies.
Yes.
Alright? Because I believe in order to bring new transformational leadership, you must have discipline, but you can't be regimented, right? So this is what I learned from 6 months. There's a lot of 6 months that richer than university graduates, right? So this is what I think, that they cannot literally tell us what, hey, when you want to do this thing, you have to do this. They cannot. They cannot literally tell it in order, but they know if the checklist there's 5, they know they have to hit the 5 thing, but they cannot literally say it, but they can go 5, 3, 1, 4 and 2. So it's complete. Mana sempat.
Right.
Nampak macam cowboy, but do they don't have discipline? They have discipline, but they do not do it in a very regimented way. So itu proses. The way they think also same when come to thinking process. So once you allow this to happen, of course, mula SOP, once the team has certain degree of maturity in making decision and handling the process, then you can let them go and you can forgo the rigidity of the thing lah.
Right.
So as long as they understand the fundamental of the discipline on how they think. So when you allow that to happen, you take out the regimented side of it, people start to express themselves,
Right.
and they start to follow the so-called SOP lah. So that's how,
Right.
that's how I did it.
So thank you, Encik Johan, for spending so much of time with us, almost an hour, invaluable time. As a take back, Encik Johan has given us almost an hour of interview in regards to transformational leader topic. In my personal opinion, he's not only a transformational leader, he's basically an inspirational leader. He walked the talk. A leader, not a boss. Make sure that he gets the scope done first, walk through the whole process to understand the G's of it before providing the platform to the rest of the folks to follow. So in that, I would like to wrap this up. Thank you, Encik Johan, for spending so much of invaluable information to us. I hope those who are actually looking into this video will be able to benefit, learn, and also get inspired with a lot of information that Encik Johan has given us today. Thank you so much.